They put them in a room with no running water, and these women were being told by CBP officers to drink out of the toilet. They were drinking water out of the toilet, and that was them knowing a congressional visit was coming.
Quick, how many freshman members of Congress can you name? Like none, right? Ever. Freshman members of Congress? They're seen, not heard, and mostly they're not even seen. So you got to hand it to Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They've been there about 20 minutes, and they've gotten really famous. In fact, they're now the faces of the Democratic Party. That's a problem, though, because there's an election coming up really soon. And these two and their two friends are very popular with the haters on Twitter. But normal people are terrified by them. New polls show they could be poisonous for the Democratic Party moving into 2020. Lisa Booth is a senior fellow at Independent Women's Voice, and she joins us tonight. Lisa, great to see you. So it turns out we're getting, I think, a warped view, and tell me if I'm wrong. So everyone we know here in Washington, and certainly in the media industrial complex, thinks they're great and is going out of their way to defend them. But the rest of the country doesn't feel that way, it turns out. Is that right?
Well, the Washington bubble is normally wrong, right? So we shouldn't really look to them for the answers. But what you can do is look at some of these polls to get an idea of where these average Americans look at people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And as you mentioned, Axios obtained an exclusive poll that's really making the rounds with top Democrats. And what the poll found was that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has become a defining face of the Democratic Party to a key constituency of swing voters, the white working class voters. As you see there, 74% of these voters know who they are, and only 22% have a positive opinion of her. And what was interesting is Ilhan Omar had some similar results as well. I think we have those numbers as well. As you can see there, 53% know who she is. Only 9% have a favorable opinion of her. And it's not just these members. You look at socialism as well. 69% of these voters had an unfavorable opinion of socialism. And just to provide some context, Tucker, of why these voters are important, you look at Macomb County, Michigan. These voters delivered Macomb County, Michigan to President Trump, which as a result delivered Michigan to President Trump. Macomb County also sent President Obama and Bill Clinton to the White House. So these voters are important. And I guarantee, Tucker, what you're going to see from Republicans is really trying to elevate members like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You might see her face in ads in 2020 as well, also taking straight aim at socialism because it is so unpopular with a lot of these voters.
I mean, Ocasio-Cortez, at least you could say, or I would say, watching her, she has some talent. I mean, I understand why she's famous, actually, if I'm being totally honest about it. Ilhan Omar is just a blunt instrument. She's only about calling people racist. Like, that's it. I don't see any appeal to her at all. And so your 9% number does restore my faith in the taste of the American public, because she deserves 9%.
And what's interesting, Tucker, I mean, you're even seeing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez play a role in these debates, because if you remember, during the first debates, Beto O'Rourke was asked about the 70% marginal tax rate, which is a policy position that was introduced into the mainstream by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So even her policies are making the way in the debate. And the challenge, well, and also you wonder why Democrats like Nancy Pelosi decided to all of a sudden start condemning her and taking aim. I wonder if this poll was out in May. So I wonder what influence seeing these numbers had on Democrats of deciding, hey, look, we've got to figure out how to minimize the role that she has in the Democrat Party in the country right now.
Too late. Shouldn't have coddled her. Shouldn't have created an environment where she could blossom, but they did.
Good point.
Great to see you tonight.
Thanks,
Thank
Tucker.
you, Lisa. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar appeared at Netroots Nation, the left-wing conference over the weekend. Her remarks there continued what has become a theme in her life, bashing America as racist, an inhuman hellhole. Omar said that Americans, driven by racist hatred, treat illegal aliens worse than they treat their dogs. Watch.
We're going to treat you worse than a dog. One of our members said to me, if there were dogs in those cages, every single member of Congress would vote to make sure that all of these cages didn't exist anymore. So we live in a society and govern in a body that might value the life of a dog more than they value the life of a child who might not look like theirs.
So we rescue you from a refugee camp in Africa. The second you get here, you start lecturing us about how immoral and racist we are. We resent it, and that means we're racist? Okay. In that same appearance, Omar said that she is, quote, ashamed to live in a country as hypocritical as the United States. Despite all that, though, she says she's a patriot. Yeah, as you can tell. In fact, Omar says she loves America more than you do, more than anyone who's born here does. Certainly more than Steve Drazkowski does. He's a Republican Minnesota representative in Minnesota, state representative, and he joins us tonight. Steve, thanks a lot for coming on. So, as someone who has
Good to be with you.
Yeah, called a racist by Ilhan Omar, I feel like I'm in good company. I mean, you've been covering her a lot longer than I have. You've been following this saga, but it seems like there are very few people in this country she hasn't denounced as racist.
Well, that's the truth, and I've lost count of the number of times that she's referred to me as a racist. And Tucker, it happens every time, and it happens just reflexively. Even in 2017, as a member of the majority in the Minnesota House of Representatives, there were 77 of us. She brought, as a member of the minority, an amendment that didn't have a chance, but it funded money to her district, in her district exclusively. And then when we defeated it, she dismissed us all as racist by using innuendo and other means to do it. So it's happened a lot. As I mentioned last week, the Star Tribune, she even referred to them as racist. So there is no end to it.
But I thought they were her biggest fans. I mean, the Star Tribune helped make her possible, right?
They have her portrait hanging proudly in their lobby area.
Amazing. How much of her, again, I was just talking with another guest, you know, I don't think all that these four members of Congress are the same, actually. There's a lot that separates them. Ocasio-Cortez, as much as I hate to admit it, does seem like she has some talent. Ilhan Omar really does seem like a one-trick politician. Give me what I want or I'll denounce you as racist. Am I missing something, or is that kind of what all there is to her?
No, it's one move. It's one move, Ilhan. It's the default. And it's done reflexively. Seemingly each time when she is met with either questions about her past, her behavior, her ideas, or challenged on those ideas, it's a reflexive action each time.
You know, if we fall for it, shame on us, actually. The onus is on us to laugh it off. You know, we know what you're doing. It's boring. Stop. And if more people did that, she probably would stop. Representative, thank you very much for coming on tonight.